they explained that, well, we kind of have a foot thing. Like ladies' feet. And you mind if we get toe prints? I didn't make Boy Scouts, but I made Weebelows.
I'm Chris Hansen with Dateline NBC.
Welcome to the revolution.
Yeah, this is the revolution, all right.
I never know what's coming.
And it will be televised.
It will be televised.
What? This is a good point, because you are revolting.
I am. Thank you very much.
I'll be here all week, folks. Actually, I should leave on that one.
Can Joe, our producer, do the rim shot? Oh, well. Hey, let me say, welcome to the Gun Cranks. I'm revolting Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, along with American Handgunner editor Tom McHale and Eric Gelhaus, the editor of AmericanCop.com. And as I said,
Why
this is the Gun Cranks.
Why do you always say that differently? Why am I not the editor of American Cop? I'm always Eric Gelhaus, the editor of American Cop.
I don't know.
I feel picked on. I feel diminished.
Well, I
you know what? It's like a microaggression, I think.
It is.
I think it qualifies.
Hey, guys, the cameras are on. Let's not fight in front of company, okay? And besides, today should be a great episode. It should be an entertaining episode, except we're going to have to change the names to protect the guilty, because we're going to talk about our worst training experiences ever. And we talk about this periodically, usually over a cocktail and cigars, and we've been blessed, all of us, to have an awful lot of training over the years, and we've had some world-class, fantastic training, and then there's been some of the other stuff. So we're going to talk about a few of those experiences today. So, guys, I've been talking for a while. I'm going to throw it open to Tom McHale, because Tom, again, has trained everywhere, and he has such a unique outlook on things. I'm interested to see what was your worst training experience.
Well, I can't talk about the very worst, because I was training with Eric Gelhaus. He's an instructor. So
Eric, he's
actually
on
no,
fire
I can't do
today.
that. I can't pick on you today, because Brent was picking on you. So I'm on your side, Eric, today. It's you and me against Brent. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. That was a mistake. So anyway, I'm afraid you guys won't even believe this. I've got two, so I'll share one now, and maybe later, if there's time, I'll share the other. I don't even know which one to pick. They're both so horrible. I was doing a concealed carry class. It's mandatory when I moved into this state. And at the time, you had to take an 8-hour class. Didn't matter, what they talked about or how good of it. They just had to teach for 8 hours. So you can imagine what a great plan that was, right? So we had these two guys teaching the class, maybe 30 people. And comes time to do all the paperwork and get fingerprints and all that. And they ask each lady in the class, there was probably about 8 in the class, each one of them, as they came to get their fingerprints, they asked if they could do their toes. And
Seriously?
They explained that, well, we kind of have a foot thing, like ladies' feet. And you mind if we get toe prints?
Oh my God! Excommunicate.
I said I don't know if you guys will even believe this is true. I didn't make Boy Scouts, but I made Weebelows, and so I'm doing Weebelows honor right here.
Where's the punch? I was waiting for the punchline, Tom.
Oh no, that was the punchline.
Wow.
Okay, you think that's normal for a training class, a concealed carry training class, to talk about foot fetish and I want your footprints?
No.
I don't know what kind of classes you go to, but
God.
Knowing the human race, I'm not completely shocked and flabbergasted.
Oh.
And we wonder why more women aren't involved in shooting and training classes and all that stuff. Right?
Did you offer your toe prints?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean,
okay.
Amazing. Well, go ahead, Eric. I'm still just kind of stunned and amazed. So,
well, since we can't identify the instructor, a lot of cop schools, a lot of cop classes pick the subject matter, are not taught to a standard of competency. They're taught to a standard of time. So if it's certified for 40 hours, your happy little butt will be in that chair for 40 hours, absent lunch and breaks, until you get through the course material. And heaven forbid if you can't take 2 days of class and turn it into 5. There were good things about supervisor school. They were about 2 days of the 2 weeks. The rest of it was filler. And things that we probably should have been teaching new supervisors weren't getting taught because we had to hit these metrics of 80 hours on subjects that I'm not sure who came up with. So I would say sergeant school was probably the worst training experience I had.
Wow. What about the gun range?
So some years back, there was a big name instructor who shall remain nameless, who we thought was retired. He no longer had the place that he was normally teaching out of. Somebody else had said, "Hey, I'll host your classes." So I had signed up to go somewhere in the country to take this tactical pistol class from this patriarch of the whole firearms training side of things, only to get there and find out that he wasn't teaching the class. He never had any intent to teach the class, but his minion has advertised it as he was teaching the class.
Wow.
Yet I can't even talk about his minion's qualifications because it would identify him.
Yeah.
So driving from Albuquerque up into northern parts of New Mexico is a beautiful drive. And that was the good part of the trip.
Oh my goodness. Well,
All right, that's Brent.
Well, I'm trying to think of one. The one, when people ask me that, I have to go back to myself and some others attended a training school at a well-known place that was just getting started out in the middle of nowhere. And we get out there, and they did several things I don't care for. And the best one was they had their instructor cadre come marching literally in formation onto the range. And they looked good. They had bloused pants and, razor creases in their pants and no kidding, right face, parade dress, Okay. So then the person that was running this thing had them all step forward and explain their qualifications. And most of the guys had military, law enforcement, been shooting. And this one young lad, shall we say, who had a face that he needed some Clearasil, and he proudly stepped forward. And I've been shooting over 2 years, and I'm a member of this and that, and I'm here to teach you about all these things. And then he stepped back, and we all looked at each other going, "Oh, sweet Jesus, what have we gotten ourselves into?" And it turns out we had gotten ourselves into something, and I would love to share the name of that at that time up-and-comer. They've had a lot of financial trouble, and so I'm sure they would probably sue somebody for slander or libel. So I'm not going to say, but it was stunning to watch the instructors strutting in. They must have practiced that movement several times because they were good and their corners were square. And I thought, wow.
The question is, did they have the class do that? Was that part of the curriculum? Did you have to learn how to march?
No, but other thing they did was shoot against the class, which instructors have to stand and deliver, especially, and Eric can speak about this better than I can, but if you're demonstrating something, you better be able to demonstrate it for the class. But the idea of shooting off against students basically as a dominance thing is not a good idea. It just creates a lot of weirdness. And what they did was they had pneumatic turners. And so we watched them shoot against these people. And what it was, we were shooting a long gun, and they all had competition rigged pistols. So they said, it's going to be mano a mano, you against the instructor. So they would, ready, and then come up, and you had to, I forget, center punch them 2 or 3 times. Well, what we noticed was on the pneumatic solenoid, starting the turn of the target, the facing of the target, these guys were making their presentation, whereas the students, which didn't really figure this out, were waiting until the target came up before they could come up. So they were a half second or more behind.
Yeah.
So
Home field advantage, right?
Exactly. So we were about midway through the rotation, and we decided we know how to play this game. So we, all of us, suddenly outshot the instructors in terms of speed. So you know what they did? They stopped. They said, well, we've done enough of this. Let's move on to our next training evolution. So, yeah, it was a. I'm again trying to be careful. It was about the money. That's all it was about.
Yeah.
And why you would bring an instructor on, he was a young gentleman, and nothing against young people, but he had not had the experience to teach a 4-H basic shooting sports, let alone a supposedly world-class training facility. It was an embarrassment, and the fact that they're not doing well, or I think they may be gone now, doesn't surprise me at all. So,
I had a class, another state concealed carry class, and because yours truly, forgot to renew in time, so you get to take the class all over again, no matter, Anyway, so this guy, this was just one of 1,000 anecdotes throughout the day. He spent 20 minutes explaining to the class how hollow point bullets work. And you guys don't know this, but here's the real deal on how hollow point bullets work. When you fire them, they go spinning through the air, right? And they open up into giant whirling fan blades of death in the air, like
in
this.
Air.
Yeah, in the air. So then when they hit their target, the whirling fan blades of death just tear it up.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, we got this class full of new gun owners who are taking a concealed carry class, and they're learning from this clown, And this just went on all day. He challenged the class to gunfights and proceeded to explain, how he would always win because he's not scared of incoming fire, and he would just calmly stand there and take his time and shoot you while you were panicking and flailing away. So I figured it was a pretty good instructor. I mean, he seemed to know his stuff, Obviously a tough guy. So
I would have almost taken that bet for you, Tom, okay, let's see how that works.
Giant whirling fan blades
of death.
Wow. Well,
that's what we should title this episode.
You're right. Whirling fan blades of death.
Joe, whirling fan blades of death. Another, yeah. You made a good point, though. We've had pretty good luck with the trainings that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
Not me. I was nodding my head.
Brent was.
Oh.
Well, no, you were making a good point. We are blessed doing what we do. All of us have experience before we came here doing a lot of stuff. Maybe that's helped us get here. And since we've joined up here at our various brands that we're blessed, we get to do this a lot and keep current about what's going on. But I was going to ask you guys, and this is both so wrong that it's funny, but it's also scary as all get out. And that's have you ever been there when they did that whole, hey, we're going to have you relay number 1, you go down there and hold the target, and relay 2 is going to shoot it. I've been there, and we left. I didn't want to be part of the homicide investigation. I don't know why people think that's a thing, or no, not even at all. So.
Wow. I've heard about it. I've never been to a class where they've done that. I like you. I wouldn't stay. I'd be out the door.
No.
That's what simunitions are for, right?
Yeah.
If you want that experience of live mano a mano simunitions, and
there was somebody teaching SWAT schools out in California that would have students stand next to targets.
It builds confidence.
If you really feel the need for that experience. Don't. If you still really feel the need for that experience, go to a known distance rifle range, volunteer to work the crew in the butts, pulling the target frames, marking and pasting the new targets and running them back up. And what you will hear is gunfire going over your head at fairly close distances, right? Close to you, not distance from the shooter. And you'll hear the bullet crack, and you'll get to experience all of that stuff.
Without
volunteer at the CMP national matches, right?
Yeah. So again, some ideas are so bad you're just like, okay, what's the gag? What's the joke? There was no joke. No, all I could think was I would be witness 17 in that foreseeable consequence. Not gonna do it. So
Yep.
I don't know. Some of these things, and I will say there's another guy, and I was witness to this. I wasn't in his group, and I think I may have talked about it before on Gun Cranks. He was one of those guys that kind of did that kind of stuff, and his I wouldn't even call them students. I'd call them minions. It was like the Grateful Dead came to town, and I've worked many Grateful Dead shows. At the concert venue I worked at part-time, and it was like the Dead came to town, and they were cooking their tasty veggie burritos over their hibachis, and just it was an event. And when they left, they had destroyed our range. They just left stuff everywhere, and it was unbelievable. So that was a bad experience, but fortunately I wasn't I was a bystander to that one. But it's like, you people are all out of your freaking minds, and the lead instructor is the king of out of his mind. But anyway, that was in the past.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have a boom, which we've had several booms over the past decade or two, and everybody pops out with a training shingle, right?
So let's do an actual good takeaway here, and I think we've already kind of touched on it, but get all of us discussing it. If you're in training and there's something that is so offensive to common sense, the whirling fan blades of death, or something that's just flat dangerous, because it's never quite a black and white thing like sending students downrange, but you can just tell if an instructor doesn't pay very much attention to safety. There comes a time, even if you don't get your money back, you got to walk away.
Yep.
Don't you guys agree? I mean, you just got to use your head. It's no training with any big name, first of all, is going to be of that quality. But even if it is, there's a time you got to walk away, because gunshot wounds hurt really bad. So it's not worth it.
There's one class I walked away from, and the instructor was talking about clearing pistols, and the way he was doing it, he was covering himself every time he did it. And then he started talking about a hole he had in his arm. That was right in line where the muzzle was going, and I was kind of flabbergasted, and I'm like, peace out, I'm done.
This is a great point, though, because if you're going to a training class and if you're newer to shooting, you don't have to be confident that you're right. All you have to know is if you are uncomfortable. If you are not comfortable, especially with the safety element of a training class, make it up an excuse. Your cat has asthma. Who knows? Pick something.
I've got explosive diarrhea.
Get out of there. Find a different class. Yeah. You don't have to have a confrontation if you're, feel underqualified. If you're not comfortable for some reason, hit the road.
If money's tight, you probably can't afford the issue that would go with a safety violation. Right?
Yep.
We get that money's tight and stuff, but maybe just find another class in a couple of months and ask around. And go take one.
And, conceivably, if something really bad happens, you could end up on the business end of a serious lawsuit, or maybe even criminal charges, even if you didn't necessarily pull the trigger. In this day and age, everybody's going to get sued. Everybody may get criminally charged. So, again, I think Tom made a really good point. We're pretty confident we understand what the kind of the accepted standards are, but if you're a brand new shooter and you've saved your lunch money and you're finally going to a training site and it's just screaming in your head like, this is crazy, this is unsafe, I don't feel good about this, walk away. You will thank yourself later, even if nothing ever happens to that class or instructors. If you're not feeling good about it, just walk away. So that's our public service announcement here on the Gun Cranks.
Good job.
So
safety first.
Safety first. Or if they're asking to take prints of your toes. No.
So creepy, you can also leave. Yeah, that was the real bummer, because at this stage in the training, we were 7 hours in, and
Yeah.
they are God, whether you get a permit or not in this state, right? So,
was this the whirling fan blade of death guy?
No, two entirely different facilities, instructors, all the above. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed for my state. Although, on the good side, I've had a lot of good training events locally over the years.
Yeah.
So,
And that's the thing,
those
too.
folks have been weeded out.
Yep. I've had, and I think you guys would agree, I've had national, I'm using air quotes, internationally known trainers that didn't impress me, and I've had somebody without quite the portfolio that I was really impressed with. So keep an open mind, and I always do believe that, I think we all do, any kind of training is good training, and shooting is a perishable skill, so you need to periodically, go get a little bit of training. And Tiger Woods has a swing coach, and major leaguers, have coaches to help them. So why would you think somebody that's not a world-class athlete would be able to shoot like at a high level without some recurring training? So just that
so the
caveat.
problem there is the folks who think that they're born with the knowledge how to shoot, drive, and do one other skill.
And paddle a canoe.
Without knowing how to do any of them well and without any training. And I'm stopping there since Tom thinks I'm going to get us bleeped.
Yeah.
Train. I'm going where my brain's going now. Training.
Yeah.
I was talking about the shooting and driving. The other one,
Yeah. Well, I am so blessed that Eric has not had any libation, because we kind of have to reel him in once in a while.
Yet.
So, yet.
Always keeps me on my toes. I love it.
I had coffee this morning.
Good for you. Good. Now let's be quiet. No. Well, guys, anyway, this has been a good one and a fun one. And we actually, we had fun, but we had a serious message. So let's not do that much anymore. That kind of goes against the gun crank credo, doesn't it?
What, have a serious message?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty soon we'll like have serious messages and be very earnest about things, and that's not us. If you want a serious message, there's a lot of other channels on YouTube you can get that from. So anyway, guys, it's been fantastic. Eric Gelhaus, American Handgunner, or AmericanCop.com editor. Did I do it right that time?
No, we switched.
Whatever. Good Lord. Anyway, Tom McHale, American Handgunner editor. I'm Guns Magazine editor, Brent Wheat. And, of course, don't forget our special publications. You can check out all of our websites and buy them through Amazon.com. The Guns Magazine podcast and the Gun Cranks audio podcast are available at all the podcast directories, so check those out. So on behalf of my fellow editors, including Eric Gelhaus, editor of AmericanCop.com, I bid you adieu, and we'll see you next episode. So take care, everybody. I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat, along with Tom McHale, editor of American Handgunner, Eric Gelhaus, editor of AmericanCop.com, and man about town, Roy Huntington.
Stop the line. Stop.